Good morning. Hi everybody. Okay, it's almost 8 o'clock in the morning and I have just finished watching Prophecy, Smallville's 20th episode. I'll say 19th last night for some strange reason, but it is the 20th episode. Very strange. I'm not sure how to put this episode or how to really describe it, but I'll do the best I can. So we all remember last week at the end of Dominion how Oliver was looking for the bow of Orion. I know I didn't get to mention that last week, but he's looking for this bow of Orion. It's just the one thing that can pretty much like destroy Darkseid kind of thing, or put a stop to his uprising kind of thing. And he goes searching for it and finds Kara, aka Supergirl, Clark's cousin, Superman's Kryptonian cousin kind of thing. And she's actually been trapped there for a number of weeks because she also went looking for the bow as well. But obviously between the pair of them, they didn't want to tell Clark, and they both had their reasons for not telling him. But what was also interesting is the opening of the episode. Clark finds Lois. She's pretty much turned her office into like a map of Metropolis and is going through all the motions as to why certain companies are closing down or all selling up and everything. Turns out someone's buying these companies to do with the water rates or something. And we eventually I'll eventually get to where I'm going anyway in a moment. But what is so interesting about that is that afterwards Clark was telling Lois how, well, Lois's dad knows about the wedding, but not Jor-El. So off they go to the fortress, and we already kind of knew what was going to happen because obviously we've read the spoilers. And Jor-El gives Lois a gift after Clark announces that he wants to spend the rest of his life with Lois. And said gift was take Clark's powers away from him and give them to Lois. I didn't really warm too much to that idea, but there was a reason behind why that happened, and you know, it becomes apparent later on as to what that was. But let me just say this now: it was interesting to see certain nods, again, certain comic book nods were in this particular episode. You noticed how when Clark and Lois found Courtney, Stargirl, was attacking one of the shop owners, she had a little like diode thing in her neck, and it was in the shape of a star. And this particular diode, it controls the person who has it stuck on them. And if you've read the comics, if you've watched the Superman cartoons, you will know what I'm referring to. And the name that I'm going to mention is Starro. And everyone who will know of that, especially if you've watched like Batman the Brave and the Bold as well, because it was heavily featured in that one recently. So yeah, Starro is a big thing. It's a big thing, and I was actually quite pleased that they used it in that form. Didn't make it too big, but they made it so that it was noticeable. Because as I say, even though it was in the shape of a little diode, it was still effective. It still had the right elements of Starro and what Starro is all about. So we eventually find out that this diode has been made by a certain Winslow Shot, aka Toyman, who's currently residing at Stryker's Island. So Lois goes to pay him a visit to say, what do you think you're doing? And then Toyman says something to Lois that completely threw me off. He sees that Lois has got an engagement ring and is aware. He knows that the Blur and Clark Kent are one and the same. So he's trying to use that against Lois, but Lois is like, I don't have anything to do with the Blur. But then he turns it against her and says, well, let me tell you about his first love, about Clark Kent's first love. And he starts mentioning Lana Lang, and I'm thinking, but when he said the bow, he said that she was going after a bow or something. I don't know if he was referring to Orion's bow or something else completely. But it's almost as if he's pretty much told Lois what's happened to Lana. So I might have to watch that bit again to really get a better understanding. But it threw me. It pretty much threw me. I was really surprised about that. So But then again, Lois was playing all, was denying it all, was saying that, Clark and the Blur are not the same. But then when Winslow threatens to kill Clark, Lois then pipes up and says, well, I'll tell you what, you call off your people, because Courtney mentions, get ready, Black Manta, Roulette, Dark Archer, okay? If you saw the promo last week, you would have seen a table with 6 villains, okay? And I managed to confirm all the villains myself when I've just watched the episode. You had Black Manta, Captain Cold, Roulette, Dark Archer, Metallo, and somebody I never thought I would ever see on Smallville, Solomon Grundy. That was just unbelievable. So they're all sitting there talking. Winslow was giving them, each of them the particular heroes that they're all going to take on, and you can easily see you've got Captain Cold and Flash, you've got Black Manta, Aquaman, Dark Archer, and Green Arrow. So everybody had their people to go up against. But before all of this, as I say, Winslow's shot eventually coerces Lois into doing his bidding by saying that he will call off his dogs if Lois uses the diode again, the little star diode thing. So she's like, okay, I'll do that. But what she didn't realise was that once she's put it on, she's under the control, and he basically tells her to go and kill the Blur. So I was like, whoa, Lois, you are dumb. I'm sorry, but she was dumb. She was love struck. She was blinded by love. That was why she did it, but not realizing that in actual fact, what Toyman wanted her to do was to go and destroy Clark Kent. And that's exactly what he knew was going to happen when she put that on. And then Oliver again. He eventually catches up to the bow, but before he's about to do that, Kara is summoned by Jor-El. And I love this particular part of the episode because Jor-El's telling Kara that despite everything I've told you, it's now Clark's time, it's Kal-El's time to realise his destiny. He's got to realise it on his own. This is the time now. Yes, I've asked for you to help him along the way. I've asked for you to fight for him in certain ways. But now I feel he is ready. And Kara's like, well, he's the only one family that I have. And there's Jor-El. Jor-El says, your destiny lies in another time, in another place. And straight away that just said to me, 31st century, the Legion of Superheroes, because even in the comic books, she is with the Legion of Superheroes in the 31st century. And that was the first thing that popped in my head. I was like, yeah, you've got a point, Jor-El. That is where she belongs. And to really confirm it, Brainiac 5 is in love with Supergirl. There's no ifs and buts about it. If you know of the comics, you'll know that Brainiac 5 and Supergirl pretty much have a little thing going on. But yeah, it was quite emotional seeing that on her part, because she wanted to help Clark fight the darkness. That was the reason why Jor-El brought her back. But Jor-El basically said, well, look, you've done enough now, and it's time that Kal-El took the rest of his journey by himself. So she eventually goes, she's got the Legion ring on, and she leaves. So as I say, eventually we see Granny Goodness. She catches up to Oliver Queen, who's just within grasp of the bow. But then Granny Goodness takes it away, and then she pretty much tells Oliver that from the moment you were scarred with the Omega symbol, you were doing Darkseid's bidding, because Darkseid, no one outside of pretty much anyone involved with Darkseid within his minions could not go near the bow, because that was the one thing that he knew that could stop him from taking over the universe, kind of thing. And it was good how eventually that Oliver realised that Orion was Darkseid's son, and Kara was telling him about how Orion was all about being brought up by someone else, and he was actually brought up by the High Father of New Genesis, of the new gods of like, you've got the gods of Apocalypse, and then there's new gods of New Genesis as well, and High Father is like he's like the light to Darkseid, basically. And he brought up Orion because there was a story where High Father and Darkseid both have kids, and they exchange children. High Father's daughter if correct me if I'm wrong, everybody, but I believe that Big Barda is the daughter of Highfather. She gets exchanged for Orion, and then so Orion is brought up by Highfather, and Big Barda is brought up by Darkseid. So that's how the whole connection works between them. So with all that, as I say, Granny Goodness then pretty much tells Oliver that what you're going to do now, you're going to do what Darkseid wants you to do. And then later on, we actually see him digging for gold kryptonite. Oh dear. So that was quite strange. Before I get to the ending, I just want to quickly say I actually found it funny when when Lois, Clark, Courtney and Tess found out that it was Winslow Schott who had designed the little Starro Dio things. When Lois speeds off, you just see Tess look at Clark as if to say, "Excuse me, what was that all about?" And he's thinking, it's a long story, Tess. You really don't want to know just now. So I just thought, you've got to tell her. You've got to eventually tell her. But eventually he does tell her, her powers go at 6:58, which was when it was sunset. So that was Jor-El's present, as it were, wedding gift. Here's my blessing. Your missus is going to have your powers, dear boy. But then came what I can only describe as a heart-wrenching moment, but a confusing moment all the same. It was very confusing because they're about to get married. We've seen the pictures for the wedding. But then Lois drops the bombshell. She does exactly to Clark what Lana did back in season 7. When she said that she could no longer be with him because she feels she's stopping him from doing the things that he's capable of doing, from saving people. That every moment she doesn't want to be sat there with him eating ice cream watching a movie because she feels that she's stopping him from doing the things that he needs to do. And there's Clark thinking, well, hang on, why what are you saying? And when she says, I can't marry you, I'm like, okay, it's confusing because that's definitely what I wanted to hear, because it was like, yeah, great, they're not going to get married, and this means he can move on kind of thing, he can become Superman. But at the same time I'm thinking, why now? Why would you reveal that now? And it just got to the point where I thought, but we've seen the pictures. Or are they going to do, this is where the twist comes in, are they going to do to Smallville what they did to Lois and Clark? Where the Lois that Clark Kent married was not really Lois Lane, but an android that Lex Luthor had designed and made. Who knows? I'm telling you, all the elements are there. Everything is there. It's all there. It's all there, people. So this is it. Next week is the epic finale. I don't know what to say. I'm absolutely speechless. Especially when we did our little test run of Ustream chat last night. I was telling people, I was saying, it's bittersweet. And as someone said, you had better deliver. Smallville finale had better deliver, because it all hangs on that finale now. That's all I'm going to say. It all hangs in that balance. I was still quite excited when I saw the band of villains. I couldn't believe it. Captain Cold and Black Manta and Solomon Grundy in particular. Those three alone, just wow. But overall, the episode didn't reveal too much of what's to come in the finale. The only real danger is the gold kryptonite that Oliver's dug out. But how much of a role the villains are going to play in the finale is yet to be seen. But of course, what we're all looking forward to is Lex Luthor as well. So, wow, there's a lot to go on, people. So I'm going to leave it there. Today is free comic book day today, by the way. I've just realised. I am going to my comic book shop later on in 2 hours time. They open at 10 o'clock. I am going to be there. So I'm going to get ready in about an hour's time, and I'm going to be out. I'm going to go. I don't know how much money I'm going to spend. You all saw that I spent about 120 quid earlier this week, but I'm going to spend some more cash again. Oh my god, it's going to be epic. So yeah, free comic book day today. Let us know what you're doing for it as well. And when I get home later on today, I will try and show off what I've got and stuff and things that I've bought. So next week, there's nothing more else for me to say. I'll see you later. Goodbye.